1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its time.
Not that room! Not that room!
Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times.
It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill. This situation must be controlled before it's too late. They are multiplying too rapidly.
Dawn of the Dead.
Meet me on the roof at 9 o'clock. Getting out.
I don't believe
We're
it.
going to
What?
get out in the chopper. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims.
Imagine, if you will, that something has gone terribly wrong.
Shoot it, man.
Now, accept the fact that there's no escaping the horrible consequences. George Romero brings back the dead. Night of the Living Dead has ended. Dawn of the Dead is here.
We must not be lulled by the concept that these are our family members or our friends. They are not. They will not respond to such emotions.
Operator dead. Post abandoned. You may never get out alive. It's everywhere. What the hell is it?
Looks like a shopping center, one of those big indoor malls.
What are they doing? Why do they come here?
Some kind of instinct, memory, what they used to do. This was an important place in their lives.
What is it?
We've got a war.
I'm afraid.
We have spawned our own savagery. Soon, it will consume us all. It is a horrible, hauntingly accurate vision of the mindless excesses of a society gone mad.
They must be destroyed on sight.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
We are down to the line, folks. We are down to the line.
Dawn of the Dead.
They're coming to get you. They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming to get you.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Welcome back to They're Coming to Get You. I'm one of your hosts, Brent Terhune, joined by my co-host,
Gavin Eddings. Hello, that's my introduction. Every time I introduce myself, I want to do like a wrestler pose. Like I want to pose like Randy Orton. I'll be like, I'm Gavin, the Grim Reaper Eddings. Like, oh,
Gavin the Ghoul. We should get cool nicknames for this podcast, but we haven't.
Brent the Bat.
I just know that when there's no room in hell, the dead will record this podcast.
That was our other title for the podcast, but too long. We're like, no one's gonna search that.
Yeah, it's hard to type in on iTunes or Spotify. But welcome back to the show. Thanks for your great feedback on our Halloween and the Exorcist episodes. If you haven't, you can. They're evergreen. You can go back and listen to those anytime you want. Tell a friend.
Yeah, you can listen to us talk about the Exorcist in the summer. In the winter, you can listen to us talk about Halloween in the summer, which is when they shot it. And if you haven't heard the episode, we tell you all about it. It's an educational experience.
And maybe this season we might even touch on The Thing. You know, the best time to listen or watch The Thing is in the middle of July. Well,
I really love when it's 90 degrees outside and you're like, what movie is going to put me in that summer mood? And it's a base in Antarctica where nobody trusts Wilford Brimley. That is the best time.
I don't have diabetes. Let me out of the shack.
And then they test his blood. It's like, it's got the sugars.
It's rampant with diabetes. So maybe The Thing is one we're covering this season. Who knows?
I hope so.
But this episode, as you probably heard from the trailer, playing before, we're watching and talking about Dawn of the Dead, 1979.
I think it's 78, isn't it?
Well, released in the U.S. because that's we'll get in it. There's several different cuts You could say 78 or 79. I'm saying 79, Gavin.
I'm gonna say 78 because I feel like that's more correct. I'm gonna push my glasses up here. I'm gonna be the YouTube comments or whatever.
Actually,
well, they finished shooting in 77, and then they were editing in 78. So technically,
well, you must be a big fan of the Dario Argento cut then.
I only watch my Italian gelato films. That's how you say it, right? Gelato film.
Yeah, not Giallo at all. It's gelato. Much like the Astroglide camera in
Halloween.
In Halloween, not the Panaglide. So released 78 or 79, depending on if you're me or Gavin. Written and directed by George Romero. Budget, I found a couple different numbers, and again, it's not really important to our conversation, but $640,000 or $1.5 million, depending on who you're asking. But the big number, Gavin, is the box office was $66 million.
People loved this movie. They absolutely adored it. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Night of the Living Dead really kicked off the zombie genre. And Dawn of the Dead, it took him 10 years to make this. 10 years later, he decided to go back and revisit this because he wanted something new to say. Mm-hmm. And Dawn of the Dead is one of those movies where I can put on as background noise and still enjoy it and still like pick up new details about what's going on.
Yeah. And I watched one of these documentaries, and I think it's called The Dead Will Walk, but it's on YouTube for you to watch. But if you just type in Dawn of the Dead documentary or maybe it's making of, but I think Romero was saying that he didn't want to get lumped into being a horror director, so he did other movies, including The Crazies and maybe it was Martin, and then some other ones that weren't horror genre, and then they didn't do very well, so he's like, all right, time to come back to the zombies.
And then for the rest of his life, that's all he would do.
It's like, I don't know, you, especially, if you're familiar with my comedy, I don't want to be lumped in as doing that one thing, but then that's what people know you for.
And it makes you money. So you're like, well, if you need me to do the thing and you want to give me money for the thing, like, I guess I will do the thing, get her done.
And I guess apparently we're talking about the thing already on this podcast.
But Dawn of the Dead, I really enjoy it. And I actually, this may be a cardinal sin. It may not be right, but I am almost 100% sure that I watched the remake before the original.
That could be. I think that was the case for me too, because we're about the same age. So
yeah,
that's not out of the realm of possibility that we watched the remake first. But what's your background and your history with this? Because we've not talked off mic about
Dawn of the Dead. I remember it coming out on like a 4-disc giant DVD set, which was like way expensive. It came out, I think, right around the time the remake was coming out. I realized I could not afford it, so I watched like a Divimax DVD version. Mm-hmm. I think I've only seen the director's cut because there's so many versions. There's an international cut, there's a theatrical cut, and then there's the director's cut. And it becomes almost like Blade Runner, where it has so many different versions and they only tweak like a few little things in it, where it's like if you're not looking super close, you have no idea like what is missing or what's not missing.
My experience with this was it was around the zombie craze. So the remake had been out, probably Shaun of the Dead. There was about a decade, would you say, Gavin, of like it was all zombies all the time.
Yeah, it was a lot of zombies because you had that stretch of, you had Dawn of the Dead, you had 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later came out and kind of reinvent. And not only was it the zombie craze, it was zombies who run. That was the craze for like 5 years. Like, oh no, they can pick up and get their steps in now. Well, now we can't get away. How are we going to survive? And Land of the Dead also came out around that time, which was like another sequel to the Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead franchise. So yeah, we got zombied out pretty hard in the mid 2000s.
That was my friend Nate and I. Shout out to Nate, who's not listening. Yeah, we were all into the zombie genre, so we would try and see everything that was zombies. And then I remember my brother and I, thanks for bringing him up, but we rented Dawn of the Dead, where it was like we had seen a lot of the modern day stuff, and we were like, oh, we've heard nothing but great things about this, so we watched it, and we both were like, this is so slow. And like it was so long because the Romero cut is an hour or like 126 minutes, so over 2 hours. The Argento cut is 119, but it was one of those where maybe it was so overhyped that when we watched it, it was underwhelming, and maybe we saw all those tropes in other zombie movies, and then you finally see the one that started all the tropes, and you're like, well, this isn't that great. And now I like the movie, but it was like maybe back then I was not prepared or ready for what this movie was.
I do remember liking it the first time I saw it because I appreciate art more than you.
That's true.
I love me some art, some films, Brent. But I do remember really liking it and just being able to see how iconic it is. I thought the effects were a little cheesy at the time, just because we had gotten so used to the hyper realistic gore of the mid 2000s, like the remake, and 20 Days Later has like realistic gore. So to go back and see these effects that are still super gross and look nasty, but it looks like this man is biting a ham out of another man's neck.
Yeah, it's well, you were talking about the fast zombies. It's a lot harder to pie a zombie in the face when they're fast.
That's a very weird scene. That's very where it's picks up and you've got people coming in and trying to take over the mall, and you're like, pie fight. Like,
I love a motorcycle gang that brings pies with them.
That's what Sons of Anarchy was really missing, was they should have settled everything with the different gangs with pie fights, and I feel like they would have gotten a lot better.
You got a choice, Runt. You could get hit with the tire iron or the pie.
No, sir, not the pie.
Not the pie.
Not the pie, so tire iron. Like, tire iron it is. Prospect.
One of the best movie posters, I would say, of all time. Like,
I had this poster in my room hanging up growing up, and there's actually a really cringe photo. I'll have to find it for you. A cringe photo of me taking an edgelord picture of me standing in front of my Dawn of the Dead poster holding a machete. And it is just, and I did it so I could have a cool profile picture for bloodydisgusting.com for their forums. So they knew when they saw GTA Gavin or Gavatori, whatever I was going by, they're like, oh, that dude's hardcore. He's got a Dawn of the Dead poster and a real machete. My God.
This guy's been to Harbor Freight before.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will go to Harbor Freight.
And that's the tagline. We started off with it. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Like, what a just great.
And that's apparently a line that George Romero just kind of threw in. He's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
He said he was drunk writing the script and came up with the line.
When there's no more room in hell, they'll walk.
It's one of those where then, like, me including, I'm like, well, as a creative, I could get drunk. I could just be intoxicated and still create genius. But then you realize it's George Romero, so the guy just functions at a level 8 at all times, you know.
Well, we do stand up, so we've been to enough open mic for somebody will get really high before, and they're like, I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. And it's like, please write something down next time.
Yes. Please
don't do this to us.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will bomb out an open mic.
I'm just telling it like it is. You're just too afraid, soul boys.
I'm a truth teller. So let's talk about these characters, and before that, but like, I just love the look of the movie, and I've said it on an episode that I did of the field trip, but I love the Blues Brothers, and there's something about a movie shot in the 70s where it just the metal feels like metal. The like, I don't know, and I would, somebody smarter should message the show and be like, that's because it was shot on this type of film. It was like, it has a certain look to it where it's like it takes you back I get nostalgic for things I never was even alive for, Gavin.
For a second, I thought you were talking about like the architecture of the mall. You're like, it was made with real Pittsburgh steel.
No,
like,
well, probably, but like
by a guy who came back from war.
like you get the look of and I don't know what it is. It's in Blues Brothers too, but like to see like a flannel, there was definitely like a decade where flannel was like, that wasn't a cool thing. It's like something your dad wore in the winter, like just the look and feel of the movie. I really love, and my favorite scenes I think are at the beginning when they're doing like the flyover shots of just like the hillbilly parties killing zombies and stuff. It's fall. I love the look. I love the feel of it. It makes me feel like I'm in fall watching it.
It makes me a little bit chilly. It makes me like physically a little chilly. Like I want to have like the windows open. I want that crisp fall air to come through my window. Give me that little chill. And yeah, I think the look of the movie is great. It definitely has that 70s feel. When you're talking about 70s horror, there are certain movies that come to mind. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dawn of the Dead, because they have such a time. It's like time was frozen in these movies. It just fully encapsulates what it was to be the 70s.
The vehicles are square, they're not rounded out. That's like they are made of metal. Like that's what I was getting
Pittsburgh steel.
Yeah, now everything's not made of metal. That's
made in China.
I just love the feel of the movie. We have Ken Foree as Peter, who I don't know if you knew this. You probably know this, Gavin, but Ken Foree is from Indianapolis.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So we chose this because this past weekend I went to Monroeville, Pennsylvania, to the Living Dead weekend. So I went to this mall where it was shot. It was a great experience to be in that mall where it was shot. And it's, they don't have, I don't think there was a Build-A-Bear, but it's like none of the stories were there,
And I'm so jealous that because there was I could have gone with you, but I had a concert to go to that got rescheduled with my dad. So I really wanted to go with you because it sounded like a great time. But how was the mall being there? Did you feel, did anything look the same, or was everything pretty much had been remodeled? And did you get to like meet any of the people or see any of the cast?
I could have met all of them, I think. And there were so many there's of course Ken Foree, and I don't think Flyboy or Roger was there. And this year was specifically focused on the Night of the Living Dead 1990 remake. So that was kind of what they were focusing on. But again, it's a horror, convention. So like the dude that was Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw 3 was there. So like you don't have to be in a zombie thing to be there. Tom Savini was there. And I know you like to meet people. I'm not a guy who like, I think I paid to meet Nick Castle and then the guy who shot the Bigfoot video.
And you've met Elvira with your wife.
Oh, that's true. And that was the thing that she wanted to do, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah. It's like you got to meet your wife. Also, that lady you married was there.
That's true. Yeah. And I was anytime I take pictures with people after a show or anything, I'll do the arm around, but I don't touch I'm just
you hover hand?
I'm a hover hand, and Elvira was like, "No, bring it in closer." So I
squeeze a titty, boy. Do it. Become a man.
The last thing I wanted to do was like be up all on this lady when there's just creeps that have paid and just be like, "Hey, Elvira,"
Oh no, I think about that anytime I meet like a actress with whatever. Like I met Neve Campbell. And she was super sweet. And we had like a conversation about you and I had actually gone to see it the night before. It's like, how was it? I was like, wasn't that good? They were like, oh, okay. Just having like a normal, regular conversation.
Yeah.
But I know that people were like, you were real hot and wild things.
Yeah. What are you supposed to say to that? Thank you. And then
thank you so much. And a lot of male not to get too off track, but a lot of male celebrities also have like strict rules because girls can get just as crazy. Like I know Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, like he's friendly and stuff, but it's like you can't just dry hump this man and try to grab his balls. Like you can't.
I did cop a feel off Tony Todd, so that was good. But
be my victim.
I will, Tony. He was
Tony
there.
Todd's so nice.
He had one of the longest lines, and also did so did Ken Foray. But bunch of people. The mall's still there. It looks great, but one of the downsides is like all these like it'd be like hall A, B, C, or whatever, and the halls were just in the mall, like next to a Hot Topic or whatever. But that also means like there was a store that wasn't there. Like it was empty for them to be able to put the horror convention there. And there was probably 5 or 6 halls there. And they do have the Living Dead museum there. That's like a permanent fixture that I went through. But those halls was great. But then that just means every other time it's an empty store, which is not good for a mall.
Yeah, we have a Dead Mall here in Evansville, which actually Evansville is where David Emge is from, who plays Flyboy.
I was going to say that there, and then Francine Galen Ross is from Indy as well. So this is a very Indiana-centric movie.
One of my an ex-girlfriend of mine, one of her
thanks for bringing her up, by the way.
I know, right? I can't believe she got hit by that truck. I hope
that you were driving.
That I was driving, and then I backed over to check if she was okay. She was fine, I think. But she went to high school with David Emge's niece, so she had like a signed photo of him.
Yeah,
because she's like, yeah, that's my fucking uncle. You just want you want a picture? He'll
that's
do it.
Fly. I didn't write his name now. That's Flyboy, right? That's
Flyboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a guy who's done a bunch of research, I'm like, who's that again? Like, I know who it is.
That?
He was on
what
the
are we talking about?
But
what
let's clarify. That's Flyboy, because I'm not gonna. His name to me is Flyboy.
But that's cool that you got to go and like see stuff and are like this could be a weird question, but when I think of Dawn of the Dead and like that mall, I think of like the escalators. Are like the escalators in the same spot, or
and they were, but then in that Dawn of the Dead or the Dead Museum, they've taken like the old escalators and you could buy a piece of the old ones. Like I love a museum that will wring out every cent of a place. So like there's that elevator, cut it up, let's sell it.
This was a shirt that was in the JCPenney in the movie. Cut a piece of cloth and sell it to these nerds.
Hey, dude, times is hard, and somebody will buy that. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely.
Like, so if you pass through Monroeville, Pennsylvania, it's definitely worth checking out. The museum is worth checking out. It was $8, so that's great price for.
It was only $8 to get
$8
to the whole convention.
No, to the museum specifically.
Okay, I was like, to the convention, it was $8.
No, it was a little more than that. But
I was like, they must be hurting.
I know they had a Hot Topic. They had a Spencer's. Those are the two big ones that I remember, because I was only there for 5 hours. I had a gig the night before, and I drove from the place in the morning to the convention, and then I had to leave in time to get to the next gig. So I wish there was more time. But throughout the whole day, they did have it was like a panel discussion, but it was in the middle of the mall, so there were chairs set up. I saw Bill Moseley, his like Q&A thing. I know Ken Foray was right after that, and they did that kind of stuff all weekend. So it's definitely like, if you're a horror fan and you want to see the mall, it's a good convention that I would say you should check out.
Do you think that people who do these like reunions at conventions and things like that, and kind of like do the circuit where they're doing like a different kind of do you think that they just have to be tired of telling the same stories week after week?
Probably. And if you listen to enough interviews with a certain celebrity or whoever, you'll be like, oh yeah, he's about to. Or even wrestlers, wrestlers, they'll just like they got their stories and they'll tell it. So it's like, as an interview, I've not interviewed a lot of people that I don't already know, but I try to hit them with those questions of like, how did you get into acting? Because like it's the 101 of questions,
So are you afraid of spiders?
Yeah. So some of those that like Bill Moseley got some of those softball questions where you like, I'm sure if I listen to a podcast, he said this 8 times,
Or if you look up a clip from like him at any other convention, it's like, well, here's what I did. Here's what I did. And here's what's going on.
Yeah. And they did give tours of the mall too, but I think they had sold out by the time it was decided I was going to go. But the mall's cool. They have a good food court. They had some Chinese food there, so that was well worth it.
You had some Panda Express, as seen in the 1978 film Dawn of the Dead. Really authentic.
Yeah, so it was a great time. Great time was had by at least me.
Well, good. That's awesome. I'm glad you got to go.
Yeah, me too. So we've got Ken Foree is probably the main character, and what people know a character from the movie. It's him. How do you feel about him?
I like him. I think he is a strong Black man, and he is a really good. He keeps everybody together. He's the most trained. He knows what he's doing. He's there to do a job. He's there to keep everybody alive. And I really like his portrayal in the movie. There's a part later on. I guess I can just say it now because I don't know if we're gonna come back to it. There's a part of the movie that is so out of left field, and that Ken Foree does such a good job when the main what is the main girl's name?
Francine or Galen Ross's.
Francine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think we're going to talk about the same moment, but go ahead.
Yeah. when Flyboy is talking to Ken Foree, and he's like, she's pregnant, and he's like, I can take care of it. And you're like, what?
I wrote the same thing down. Like
what? He's just like, yeah, okay.
We can get rid of it.
That part sticks out of my mind. Not like so much the fun stuff or like the pie eating or the pie facing. It's like this man he could be really excited about having a baby, but he's like, want me to get rid of it? You're like, whoa, Roe v. Wade isn't gone yet. Okay.
Well, it's also a zombie apocalypse. Like it's that was a thing in with The Walking Dead of people having children during, the last thing you want is something crying when there's zombies everywhere, but I did find it odd that this soldier, he's a soldier, right? Like, he's like soul soldier / police of some sort. I think it's SWAT team. Yeah. So this guy is just like, I'll help you get rid of it. And I'm like, how? What are you gonna do?
This is not the first time he's been offered this. He jumped to it so fast. He's like, ha, you want me to get rid of it? Like he's putting on gloves as he's saying it. Like he's going down to JCPenney's and grabbing a hanger that moment.
He did say in interviews, Ken did, that he was friends with Dwayne Jones, who was the lead in Night of the Living Dead. And I don't think it's lost on people that the two leads are Black guys.
Yeah. So I think his entire character arc is just so good, and he really keeps everybody together, because they would without him they would die immediately.
Yes, well, Roger died with his help, like
because he was just Roger was being a hot dog. He was out here hot dogging, trying to having too much fun killing these zombies, and then got his leg bit and got bit in a truck. You had one job, Roger. Somehow like having a great time but also losing it at the same time, clearly.
The Roger was just, I guess, reckless. There was a certain time in cinema where I guess yeehaw was like he hit you with like eight or nine yeehaws in the movie, which nowadays you don't hear yeehaw anymore.
No, unless you're doing like a comedy or a throwback. This was very post-Western, where it's like, what if we said yeehaw in the now? What if we pretended to be cowboys? And just dropped a yeehaw, just a little yeehaw every once in a while.
He had a slow death and turns quick. But it was over that. Like I want to talk about, like, there's the difference in Flyboy and Roger. Like Roger is bit, and then it like takes him 2 or 3 days. They're wheeling him around in that wheelbarrow. He's eating stuff out of the jar and playing video games and stuff. And then Flyboy just turns in the elevator. Like it's
well, what you don't see is that elevator is actually the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z, where 1 minute is actually a whole 3 days in that elevator.
And so I get it serves the story, and you need like, what a great shot. We talked about oh shit moments of like, if you had one, Gavin, my oh shit moment for Dawn of the Dead is when he comes out of that elevator.
I don't want to say my oh shit moment because it's also my favorite kill, because we're gonna talk about our favorite kills. You probably know what it is already, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that elevator opens and he's just like and he's got the gun on his hand or whatever, like
the walk.
They
clearly like they spent some time on this zombie. Other zombies, it's like put the gray on your face, go. You know,
put
like,
the gray. We're gonna cut your flannel. We're gonna cut your flannel a bit. Now go walk funny.
Yeah,
but he did a really good job, and like that that character, like they've made action figures of him as a zombie. And just when I think about it, like I made a video for my horror movie channel, Gavin Loves Horror, of like sequels that are better than the original, and I used a picture of him as the thumbnail. And that video got 70 views, so clearly it's working. It's clearly working. But yeah, that's just a really iconic shot. Harry Krishna zombie is the other one when you think of, and also the Plaid zombie from the airfield, who they put on a bunch of the posters.
Yeah, the Plaid zombie, and I like a zombie thing that has like, you could be like, there's the nurse zombie, there's the blank zombie. I like that.
Yeah,
and a lot of those zombies, you know, they're all pretty much Pittsburgh locals, so they were at the convention. Like you could meet certain zombies. You know, I think you'd have to be a super fan to want to get the autograph of whatever zombie, unless it's like the ones we're talking about. But you could get everything signed by a lot of the cast that were in that movie.
Well, they let so many Pennsylvania natives be extras, and they paid them $1 because they had no budget, so they paid them an actual $1, and then they gave them like a t-shirt,
and I think they said a donut.
Yes,
sure,
also a donut, and that's all they got. But imagine if you still have that shirt. That is a collector's item for sure. And just being part of this movie, and then there's somebody who showed up for one of these days, was in like a background shot. It was like, all right, gonna hit the circuit.
Yeah,
gonna go. Like I've met people who were in last summer. I met some of the cast from Jaws, and it was like Richard Dreyfuss, of course, and then there was the girl that gets eaten at the beginning, and I had her sign a poster, and then I met the little boy who also gets eaten by the shark, and they were just like, especially the guy who played the little boy, he was super nice, but it was just like talking to like a guy. Because that's like all he did, but he signed our stuff, took a photo with us, and had some cool stories about Jaws. And so that you can get a zombie autograph. You could lie and say you were in it and be like, I was there.
Yeah, dude, you're 30. There's no way you were there.
I was there. I was in my dad, but I was
zombie. Yeah,
I was there.
Flyboy is an interesting character. You know, he's the pilot, but man, this guy, for some reason, does not know how to shoot, doesn't know how to fight. Like
he tries to be hyper masculine, but he sucks at all of it. Like Francine is more masculine than he is, because she can like hit something. But even Ken Foray, I like the way we call some of them their character name. They're like, no, that's Ken Foray.
Yeah, I know. I'm not calling him Peter. That's just Ken Foray. Yeah,
it's more respectful. But Peter even gets mad at Flyboy. He's like, you gotta stop. Like what are you doing? What are we doing?
Gavin, I know you, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're not a gun guy.
No, I've been shooting a few times. I worked in a hardware store, so I had people like, dude, let's go shooting. It's like, it's my day off. I'd like to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. I don't want to go shooting. I'm not a gun guy. No.
Yeah, like that was my thing, is maybe you have shotguns, maybe you have not. We're both from Indiana, so I think that's, you have to, like, when you renew your license, they make you shoot a gun.
They're like, do you need glasses? Are you an organ donor? Shoot this gun.
Like, but I guarantee you are a better shot than Flyboy.
Yeah, I feel like I could probably, I play a lot of light gun games at the arcade. I feel like I can line it up pretty okay. I've shot several aliens.
It's just bizarre how people in the movie, and again, that's coming from the guy who's watching the movie, but it's like, how do you just not know how to shoot a gun? Like, and it's the same way Michael Myers could just watch somebody drive, or like,
he was doing fine last night.
Just point and squeeze the trigger, like, and it just to not know how to, and like in
the general direction, like it'll get there. The bullet's gonna get there. We don't gotta We don't got a 360 no scope these zombies. Just aim for the chest and like get them down, and then you can like stand over them and shoot them in the face.
And then like it always frustrates me when somebody in a zombie movie doesn't know to shoot them in the face or the head. Like I'm like, the chest is not gonna work, dude. Like I'm
gonna wing them in the leg.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna wing them a little bit.
Yeah, I do like Flyboy, but then we were talking about Francine in one of the interviews. Like Romero wanted her to play up like screaming lady in distress, and she was like, I don't want to do that because we'll eventually, I'm sure on the show, cover Night of the Living Dead, but Barbara, who they're coming to get, by the way, Gavin, like is just
you're ignorant.
You're ignorant, like worthless for half the movie, just sitting there.
I think she gets smacked. Like, doesn't she get backhanded at one point?
Yeah. Well, a black guy on screen slaps this white woman in 1968. Like,
was there anything being said at that time about it? I'm sure everybody was fine with it.
But yeah, so it was like one of those, like, I don't want to. And then we've come so far, like we're Michonne. I'm like, man. Yeah. This lady can handle her shit,
Francine told George Romero, I will not scream. I'm keeping this baby. Do not let Peter near me with the coat hanger. Don't let him near me.
A method actor.
She got really pregnant for the role. It's like, no, he keeps looking at me. And I can't tell where Ken begins and Peter ends. I don't know what happens.
Staring at her unfolding a coat hanger. Like, I do like there's a scene where like I think it's Flyboy and he's like, she's pregnant, immediately cuts to her smoking.
Well, that'll do it.
So she's not as bad as Barbara, but I do gone to again, it was a different time back then, but gone are the days of just a lady being like, oh, poor me, like but she's the one that's like, I need to learn how to fly. She's prepared.
She's like, we can't rely on Johnny can't hit shit with a gun. Like we need other skills. We got to go find some other stuff. And then they immediately leave her alone. Flyboy doesn't want to give her a gun. And it's like, well, you don't need this. You don't either, Flyboy. You don't either.
Well, then he proposes and she's like, not right now. I'm like, well, when? Like the world's over. This is it, babe.
She's like, listen, I will not get engaged to you until we know we're getting some sweet tax breaks on this.
Yeah.
If the government's falling, what am I doing this for? Do we have insurance even? Do I get your insurance?
And the movie starts off with the argument in the TV studio, which, man, two guys arguing, no, the dead aren't rising or whatever, essentially. And then they're like, yes, the dead are. Like, man, couldn't be more of a relevant conversation to the scientific discussions we're having the past couple of years.
If Dawn of the Dead told people to mask up, they're like, no, that's my freedoms.
There'd be a guy dripping with blood from the neck being like, I'm still going out.
Stop the mandate.
I'm not getting, dude, you just need the shot and you won't turn into the Walking Dead. No thanks.
I'm not we'll give you a donut. I'm not getting the jab. I'm not getting it.
But then afterwards you'll have to get a booster. See, it starts with one.
And the boosters when the microchip gets you. I've worked in a news setting for a little bit. When I graduated college, I worked at a news station for 6 weeks before I realized not for me. But just watching everybody in a newsroom in this movie just sit around and smoke and yell at each other. And I know there's like an apocalypse happening, but newsrooms are much more boring than that. Like it is just like the dead are rising, smoke. What are we gonna get on the air? Get it on the air. What are we shoot them in the head?
And that is the other my favorite part from Night of the Living Dead is those like news segments of them walking around. Like for some reason there's other great scenes, but I'm like, oh, that's my favorite for some, because they give you half a reason why they're zombies in that one. And this one, again, hell is full. That's the
like,
the reason.
I don't know, a raccoon or something. Let's just
it was a rabid raccoon. Then we get like the shots of the apartments and the housing, And those are really gruesome because like this movie was like it's banned in some countries and like was I think released unrated because if it was rated they wouldn't be able to show it. Like there's a lot of stuff in this.
It was gonna be like an X, so they decided to get it released unrated. And on the poster, and this was on the poster I had on my wall, it says although there is no explicit sex in this, there is violence that many will find disturbing. And it's like, what better endorsement than that on your poster? Like there's no titties, but it's so violent we can't rate this bitch. Like that's great.
I will tell you, if there's no boobs in a movie, that's an automatic 0 on any rating system.
That's why you stopped watching Pixar.
That's
you're
true.
like Zerg's not showing a titty in the new Lightyear. Not going.
I got tired of getting halfway through the movie. As Peter Griffin would say, 2 boobless hours, or however he phrases it.
And that's why you didn't like Toy Story 3.
That's true. And it made me cry. But I love there's a trope in this that's carried over to so many zombie things. And I love this trope of there's always like the dead are walking, they're eating people, and then those people turn into more dead people that eat people. And there's always one racist guy. Guy that's just still holding on.
He's like, I may be the undead, but the South is gonna rise from the dead, from the actual dead. We're gonna go buy some Confederate soldiers in Arlington. We're gonna bring them back.
They're like, the dead are walking and eating people, but watch your wallet around that one over there. Like, it's when does racism go away? Because dead people eating other people is not making it stop.
I think that zombie that bit me had a stolen Social Security card.
I think he came over the border illegally.
It's like, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter.
Because Merle, the character on Walking Dead, that like you hate that guy so much because you're just racist. like again, you won't let a black guy help you, but you won't help him. And then but the alternative is just getting eaten dead, like by a dead guy, like
cutting off your own hand so that you don't eat, because you don't want to hang out with T-Dog.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on those segments, the TV studio or before they get to the mall?
I mean, I think the best kill in this movie, if we're doing best kill, is the dude straight up getting his head blown off by a shotgun, Scanner style. One of the best head explosions in any movie, and George Romero decided to have that so early in the movie to establish a tone. And that's a way to set a tone for sure.
Yeah, and I in that one documentary that I talked about earlier, Tom Savini was like they packed this head full of like apple cores and condoms full of blood and just a bunch of shit, and then just shot it with a real shotgun.
It was the 70s. You could do whatever you wanted. You could we'll shoot this head, and it holds up. Like, it's like, of all the movie effects, some of them don't look great. Some of them look very like 70s. The head explosion, and unless you pause it right, and you're like, this is just a made up head with the worst fake beard. But in real time, you're like, that dude just got his head obliterated.
Yeah, again, it was 79 or 78 as you claim. Like, it was one of those where it's like, back then, I don't know what more you expected from that, And it's only watching newer movies with great effects, and you watch it and you're like, oh, but you could see the thing. Well, shut up, dude. It's a movie.
I mean, we're still talking about it 50 years later. Yeah. Like, it has not fallen to the test of time. It hasn't like fallen by the wayside. We're still talking about Dawn of the Dead, and there have been so many zombie movies that have come out since then, but we still go back to the trilogy that George Romero did of Night, Dawn, and Day. And it's just, it's so iconic. And yeah, we're talking about this on a podcast almost 50 years later. And we're like, that head scene though, it really looks good.
Yeah. Well, they make it to the airfield, and this is one of my favorite kills, is the helicopter zombie, Gavin.
Yeah, he's just hanging out, walking around. He's like, he gets a little too close to the blade. And that is my fear. Anytime I see a helicopter near me, I'm like, someone could get cut up with that. Someone could really get hurt.
That's why I refuse to travel by helicopter, is for that sole reason.
I know that because you have, I think, over 300,000 Twitter followers. Humble brag for you. And they offered you when you hit 300. They're like, "Do you want a helicopter?" And you're like, "Nope, I'll get cut up."
No, thank you. You want to travel around Myrtle Beach style? Because that's the only time I've ever ridden in a helicopter is in Myrtle Beach. But I do love that. That's clearly telegraphed of, oh, this guy's got a Frankenstein head on him. We're gonna cut it. And Tom Savini talked about that kill as well in the documentary, because I was always like, because it looks like he really gets his head cut off. Like, I'm like, there's no way that he just stuck his head up there. Like,
that's a level of trust no one should have.
Yeah,
I don't care who you're working with. They're like, listen, we're gonna put a fake head. It's gonna be big enough that it's just gonna. But
you're gonna be Herman Munstered out. Don't worry.
I'm gonna need you to walk into a real helicopter blade. I will not. I don't care who does it. I don't care who's asking to do it. I'm like, I have some notes and I have some concerns, but I did watch a documentary as well. The helicopter was never there.
Yeah, because they built his head up 2 inches, and then like put some fishing line on it. So that's where it gets pulled off. It was the fishing line, and then they pumped blood through his pants up to his head. So, but then that was the scene my brother and I watching, and we're like, either this is really good or really bad, because it's clearly the dude's getting his head cut off. Like, that's what's happening in this scene. You know?
I would love to see a misdirect where somebody has like 1,000 pounds of prosthetics on their head. You're like, gonna be a head, and it's like, did he cut a finger off? Why did the? So
he got hit in the dick.
What was all the shit for then? What?
You got the plaid shirt zombie and the airfield as well, and the killing of 2 children who were, I think, Tom Savini's niece and nephew, but
they were
killing kids.
Yeah, Ken Foree said that he wasn't a fan of killing the kids.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't like that.
He's like, cause see, they're actually people now. They're not a bundle of cells I need to take care of in a mall.
Yeah, I can abort it.
And he's like, I did a 36-month abortion. Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
And yeah, the airfield is the biggest display of Flyboy not knowing how to do anything right. Like,
he's shooting at these zombies for a while. Like plaid shirt zombie, you would have thought he had a cheat code on, because he's got nothing going. He could have held his hand up and stopped bullets like Neo in the Matrix with the way Flyboy would shoot at him. But I love that plaid shirt zombie. I have an action figure of it actually.
That's the one I don't have, so give it to me.
I got it for Christmas from my sister one year.
Must be nice.
I know, to have a living sibling.
A living sibling. Yeah. You braggy so and so.
All my family, we still here. Here. But yeah, I have a figure that it's one of my favorite figures, and just imagine being a zombie in the movie as like an extra, or I guess you would a featured zombie, but then they like you so much, like, let's put you on one of the most iconic posters that will ever happen in the history of horror. Like, that guy's got it good.
I do. I like I said, I love the featured zombies, and I would love, especially like something like The Walking Dead has been on forever. I think it would be so cool to see like a zombie that we all know, like Iron Maiden, their mascot is Eddie, and you see different versions of Eddie. I think it would be so cool to, like, every episode they somehow sneak in their Eddie. So it's like he may die every episode, but there's a version of that zombie in every episode. I think that would be cool, because now we're playing Where's Waldo of where was Eddie in this Walking Dead episode.
I can tell you who wanted to be that zombie so bad. We've done conventions, and they've been to them. Have you been at a convention with the zombie that plays Big Daddy from Land of the Dead?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah.
He wishes that he thought that role was going to take him to stardom. He was pretty cool, but there was his line one time was next to Kane Hodder, who played Jason.
Yeah.
And so that line was like snaking around. He's like, all right, guys, I'm going to need you to move out so that we can, like, so my line is like, nobody's here. Nobody. And
dude.
It feels bad. It feels bad, but it's like, ain't nobody here for you, Big Daddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's one of those where I'm like, if you got stuck next to Tony Todd or who, like, these stars, and you're like, oh man, their
And
lines. It's Virgil. Yeah, just
he goes
the
all
wrestler.
out. I will give Big Daddy credit though. He goes all out. He does the makeup.
He's in costume. Yeah.
He wears the jumpsuit. And
Yeah.
it's like that's cool for you, but I don't think I need to give you 40 American dollars.
Yeah, I'll give you Guatemalan dollars at best. So they hunker down in the mall, and they park the trucks in front of the doors. They drive the car through the mall and kill all the zombies. They keep the dead zombies somehow in the walk-in cooler where the food is. Gavin, that seems like a good idea, right?
I love rotting corpses next to my canned goods.
Yes,
it really pairs well.
They got a mattress on the floor with no windows in that shack upstairs. And
what is this? What is this? My studio in Brooklyn?
I was gonna say I've stayed in that comedy condo several times. Surprised they don't have a tube TV on a chair next to it.
And a VHS of Airplane.
Yeah, so the mall is the perfect spot, and that's where Romero got the idea of he was taking a tour of that mall, and like, man, it really has everything. You know, they didn't have the gun store in it, that was shot separately.
And because and their lair was separate as well.
That's true. And because I was watching with my wife, and I was like, did they have a bank in the mall? Like, and I guess they did. I don't know. So
I think some malls do have like banks. I mean, Walmart's have their Wood Forest bullshit or whatever they try to, or whatever they use for money laundering.
You get a haircut and new glasses and all that stuff. You get your nails done. Like, so like the mall had you would need a gun store, and then I would go, because that's what I was going to ask you, Gavin. If so, today, Dawn of the Dead happens. Are you going to go to the mall? Let's say maybe the mall it's a no-go. Where are you going to hold up?
Probably a Dick's Sporting Goods. But then a Dick's Sporting Goods, though, doesn't have a lot of food other than like stuff you buy
protein
at
bars.
Yeah, I mean, I get real jacked living in a Dick's.
I just get real fat just eating straight whey protein.
You gotta. There's a whole Bowflex over there, Brett. No, I'm good. I'm
good. I'm just coughing on dry powder.
They're running out of Under Armour that fits you, Brent. You need to slow down.
That's now. What are you talking about? So would you? I think the place to go now is a Walmart.
Yeah, I think honestly a Walmart. But does a Walmart have a generator like a mall would?
I don't know, and I've never been in the back of a Walmart. I assume there's like a second level of whether you're on like where they keep stock stuff, but like you kind of want to be off the ground too, right?
Yeah, and I don't. Most Walmarts are single story because there's no real basement. They have like the stock room and stuff. So if people get in, like there's no way.
Maybe
to, like,
if you're on the shelves or something or whatever, you know.
Yeah, maybe if you could make like a little area in like the back room where all the like big scaffolding and stuff is, maybe then. But yeah, Walmarts are usually one single floor, so you really can't batten yourself up anywhere.
But then that leaves you open to like you're gonna get a motorcycle gang storming the Walmart, you know, like
they're gonna get to the Walmart. I mean, they're probably already there. They're like, I need my scratch offs,
my scratchers.
This is my time.
Yeah. So where would you go, Gavin?
I don't know. I probably want to go somewhere where nobody would think to go. So I feel like everybody would hit up like Walmarts and Targets, and I'm just gonna go to Ruler Foods, be like, it's generic.
I'm just hanging out at the Aldi.
It's like, I don't need Mountain Dew. This Mountain Lightning will be fine.
Hey, dude, that's if there's a zombie apocalypse, you'd be happy to have Dr. Thunder.
I think the hardest part, though, would be finding weapons, which is why a hardware store would be good because they do have guns at like Dick's and Academy.
Blunt objects, you know?
Yeah, like oars from like the kayaks. Just thinking outside the box here, a lot of golf clubs, baseball bats, things like that. I like the way I went in the order of oar, golf club, then baseball bat. Like I was ranking them number 3 or
turned into Scary Movie where she grabs the banana as opposed to the grenade and gun. So let's say excuse me, Guns are out of the question. Everybody would ask for a gun if they're in a zombie apocalypse. What's your weapon of choice then?
Probably Trojan Magnums for this hog I got.
So Francine doesn't get pregnant, then Ken's got to ask if you want to abort
take care of it. No, I think honestly, I don't know why I needed to reference my penis. That's very lowbrow. It's a very lowbrow joke. I'm sorry to all the real comedy fans who are listening right now.
They're not. They've since turned it off. This is preposterous.
I think you'd have to go somewhere with like food. I think honestly.
But what's your weapon? That's what I'm saying.
Machete. I think machete. I took an edgelord photo. You may have heard of it.
Yeah.
But I think machete. I mean, just because your arm gets tired, that's the drawback. But you don't want a chainsaw that can run out of gas, makes a lot of noise. Maybe also like a crossbow. I think a crossbow, because you get like the best of both worlds as far as like guns and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I would go with the not the machete, but like a samurai sword, a la Michonne.
Okay, like a katana.
Katana, yeah. And I only remove it from the sheath if I know I'm going to spill human blood.
And then sometimes when you get really good, you'll hold it and then go like real fast. You're like, and then the zombies will fall apart like
and
Fruit Ninja.
They'll stand there for a little bit, and then their head will slide off at a diagonal.
And be like, oh my God, I had no idea you were so quick with a blade.
That's right, my lady. Now let me disrobe you.
And then I'll say, hey, I got some condoms. Don't get her pregnant.
I can't. The condoms won't help.
I'm keeping the sword on.
We do get some of the zombies using, I think that it was a tire iron in one of the scenes. That's the thing with the Romero zombies. The first one, he picks up a rock, the graveyard ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, like, because when I did watch these after watching all the other zombie movies, I'm like, oh, zombies don't use tools. They're not that smart, but like it's a made up thing.
They did get progressively smarter as the Romero movies went on, because there had been zombies at that point for decades.
Yeah.
So you have our good friend Big Daddy Zombie using a gun. It's poorly,
and communicating,
and like talking, and then
but was it Bub?
Yeah,
and,
Bub.
the Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Communicating, and maybe maybe a part of him is still in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But just the racist part.
Just shoots the black guys or any minority.
It's like, wait, why is that the part you hang on to, Bub? Just why? I let the love of my kids go, but I really hold true to my racist beliefs.
And a Confederate flag fanny pack or whatever. And then we got the gang that comes in. Anything that stands out besides one of my favorites is them pieing zombies. A pie to the face only means something if the person is embarrassed by it. Like there's no like.
Well, I think the zombies were embarrassed. They like whop whop. Like when did it become like
spread out, you two? And then he hits him in the eyes like Mo.
Then they discovered oil in the mall, and like, what?
Yeah. I'm slipping and sliding.
It's such a weird juxtaposition. The movie is all over the place, and I know Romero wanted it to be funny, but
yeah,
you can't go from like, I just had to shoot my friend who became a zombie. We're watching people get hacked up and just murdered, brutally murdered, and they're like, pie fight.
Bring out the pies.
Also, those pies gotta be fucking rancid. The worst pies have been sitting there since this whole shit began. They're like, oh no, this lemon meringue, it's turned.
It's no more. Here's one of my favorite kills, because that's what I asked you too, is what are some of your favorite kills? One of my favorite kills is the blood pressure tester kill.
that guy needed to know, like, what? I get sitting down for a second. You're breaking into a mall. It's very taxing on you emotionally, physically. But to put your arm into and then let it just ride out. Like, just let it ride out. Like, why? What are you? Now is not the time to worry about your hypertension. It's not the time.
It's gonna get worse, sir. It's gonna get worse. And
like,
it's
you trap yourself. You trap yourself.
Yeah, I do love. I just love that kill, just because. Who's like, well, let me just check real quick. This biker that's on the road, and storming a mall.
He's trying to get healthy. He's trying to really watch his cholesterol, get his blood pressure down for his wife, who he's trying to make it back to.
Yeah, just suddenly health conscious. And then you've used one of those before, right?
Of course. I had
How many times did it get so tight that you're like, oh God, I'm stuck. This is forever.
I live here now. I usually tell it to go tighter or else I can't feel.
Tighter, daddy.
I'm like, harder blood pressure, daddy. Really squeeze it in. I've been real bad today.
Do it again. And my other favorite kill is Ken Foray throwing the dummy off the balcony.
He's straight up Andre the Giant. That is the last elimination in a Royal Rumble. Like, he has just won. He's going to WrestleMania. Like, that is a wonderful kill. Just chef's kiss. Just so incredible.
I love the idea of them driving the car through the mall. Like, they cleared the mall. Like, you could live there, and like with these zombies, they're perfect because you can run around them. You could almost make them to be a fool. But then like that, which the bikers definitely do. But so my question is, for your movie preference, Gavin, is it fast or slow zombies?
This is a tough question because I just recently watched a zombie movie. Have you heard of The Sadness?
I have. You told me about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
It is a weird Taiwanese movie. It's very brutal, very depraved, and those zombies are fast, and they're barely zombies. And
more rage-filled,
very like sexual, assaulty.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah, definitely in.
And it's a rough time. And watching that, and then going back a day and a half later, literally, and watching Dawn of the Dead, I think I just kind of like the simplicity of a slow shambling zombie. Because even though they're slow, if you get mobbed by them, there's nothing you can do.
That's where the threat is like, get 10 of them. It's not one.
I feel like if you have a horde of running zombies at you, if you take one down, they're gonna trip over each other. They're gonna be tripping. They're not gonna be able to. We found oil. What?
Where's the pies?
I feel like the running zombies on the surface are scarier, but there's nothing worse than being trapped and having something slow and shambling coming towards you. Because it's going to draw it out. It's like that Nick Swartzen joke about being shot or stabbed. And he's like, when you're stabbed, you're there the whole time. It's like, oh, it stabbed me. Oh, it's coming back. It's coming back. I think this is the second time I've referenced Nick Swartzen.
I think it is too.
I'm a huge fan. He's got very good jokes and laughs.
But I think the slow ones make for better visuals of a Night of Living Dead. They're just coming out of the darkness, and especially like The Walking Dead, like just to see a horde of zombies coming at you, but then I don't know if you have the fantasy, if we're gonna have an apocalypse, let's make it a zombie apocalypse.
Absolutely.
But in my head, I'm like, if they're fast, it's over. There's no chance, I
was really disappointed that COVID didn't just like turn people. It just made people really sick and people died, and it was very sad. I'm really sad that it didn't turn people because I feel like the people that would have been turned by COVID are already ones you want to kind of beat the shit out of. So it's like, oh, grandpa. Well, guess what, you son of a bitch. Now is the time.
But what if your grandpa's fast? That's over.
My grandpa wasn't fast. He was, I don't know. I never knew my grandpa that much.
It was rage.
He was filled with rage. Yep.
A couple more. Yeah, I have a couple more notes. So,
okay.
And then the mall itself, the filming began nightly once the mall closed, starting at 11 and ending at 7 a.m. when the automated music came on. As December arrived, the production decided against having the crew remove and replace the Christmas decoration. So they would have to come in take the Christmas stuff down and then shoot and then put it back up. So they took 3 weeks off.
At that point, you're just working at the mall. If you're having to take shit down and put stuff up, like at that point, start stocking the shelves. Like go do soft lines for a little bit.
Yeah, go fill up some of the mannequins as you redress them or whatever.
Is that a job at Kohl's?
Well, it's a thing they'll ask you to leave if they see you doing that. And I got Kohl's cash. I got money.
It spins.
Is my Kohl's cash green or not? During that break of the 3 weeks, Romero started editing the film. The airfield scenes were filmed at the Harold W. Brown Memorial Airfield in Monroeville, which is like 2 miles away. And I found that out, and I was like, man, I just wanted to. If I'm already there, why not just go two miles away? But again, it was a time constraint thing for me. The scene of the group's hideout at the top of the mall were filmed on set built at Romero's then production company, Leighton Image. The elevator shaft was located there as well, and not in the mall. The gun store it's called Firearms Unlimited. So, and it's pretty seamless because I was like, was there a gun store in the mall? You know, like
I love when they can do that, where they can make and that gun store looks like it could be in the mall in the 70s. Has that wood paneling where you walk and you're like, this is in a mall. I see this.
They had an alternate ending. So we were talking about getting your head caught in the helicopter there, Gavin. The alternate ending, the original one, was much darker.
Yes, this ending was... There's a lot of movies where the director has to feel like they have to make a statement by like, everybody gonna die. Yeah. And the original ending was Peter shoots himself. He's overwhelmed. He takes the little baby gun and like shoots himself. And then Francine throws her head into the helicopter. It's like, what the fuck kind of ending is this?
A dark one. And apparently they were going to let the credits roll, and then the helicopter was going to shut off to show that they didn't have enough fuel in the first place.
Jesus,
I do like that. I do like that
part.
aspect of it. Yeah. So it was like, it's already dark, but then they weren't going to make it anyway, you know? But
I don't know if I have to choose between going down in a helicopter and putting my head in the blades. I'd rather just go down in a helicopter. There's no scenario where I have, even in the most dire circumstances, where killing yourself is the only option. I can't imagine my first instinct be throw my head in a helicopter blade.
Yeah.
Jump off the roof, Francine. Just get off the roof and jump. That's fine. No, don't throw yourself into the helicopter.
Then even at the end they take off, and he's like, how much fuel? And she's like, not much. And he's like, all right. Like, so that's like, it's a darker ending, but it's not throw your head in the helicopter ending, you know?
Yeah, and there is a deleted scene after the credits that sets up the Marvel universe where the helicopter goes whoop whoop whoop. It drops real fast, and a puff of smoke comes up. So you know that they do actually die.
Yeah, you have to watch through the credits, and that's not on the Dario Argento one either.
No, it's on mine, the version I made. It's just a quick flash animation I made, but it's canon. I talked to George Romero. He said it's fine.
A group of zombies, drunk zombies, I might add, caused $7,000 in damages to the mall. Apparently, according to Tom Savini, there was a bar called the Brown Derby. We'd make up the zombies at 7 p.m. and didn't start until the stores closed at 9. A lot of the zombies went to the Brown Derby and got drunk. Some zombies jumped on a golf cart and crashed it into a pillar, doing $7,000 damage. So that's just to be able to drive in the mall seems like fun to me.
Even if you have, I don't know if they do it I don't know if they do it much anymore, but just getting a car into a mall when they have like cars on display in the mall, like you have to drive that in there, but be like, I'm driving next to a limited 2. This is not where cars go.
Or the mall security with the Segway type, the Paul Blarts of the world, you know?
Yeah, I recently flew out to California to visit our friend Ryan, and even in the airport, like golf cart coming through, move vehicle. It's like you get to drive in the Dallas airport all day. That seems like not a bad gig.
That's too much power for me. I'm hitting somebody. You know I am. So wrapping up, you got any other final comments? I know we talked about oh shit moments. I mentioned kills, and then we'll do some movies we think people should watch. But any other comments, Gavin?
I think oh shit moments, definitely that scene where they take where the SWAT team goes and it just kills all the people in the projects for whatever reason, whether they were zombies or not. Best kill, head explosion. And I also just like the simplicity of Tom Savini's character macheting a dude in the face. I think that's a great effect. I think that one looks really good.
Say goodbye, creep.
Goodbye, creep.
I do also like that they were riding on that motorcycle with a sidecar, which you could get your picture taken in for $5, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I told my wife, she's like, man, they had every gimmick in there. But I'm like, why not, dude? If you live there. I did like the one where they're driving and I think it's Tom Savini cut somebody's head off while the car is going around. I like that.
It's a very clean cut as well, like just no resistance, just the knocking the cleanest mannequin head off that mannequin body.
Hey, dude, sometimes if you sharpen your sword, you don't have to.
Are you studying the blade right now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, and I'm getting my hands getting a little itchy if you keep talking shit about the blade.
We're not even together right now, but I feel like if you do it fast enough, my hand will fall off.
Yeah.
Oh no, I needed that. That's my baiting hand.
I don't know. I don't think the last 2 episodes we did a rating system, so I don't know if we should start now. But
you know what? We're changing the game. Are you gonna like rate it out of like 5 brains?
I'd give it 5 brains and 3 zombies.
I tried doing that for a movie review. I did the first review I did for my YouTube channel. I gave like a rating. I was like, this is like 3.5 brains out of, and then I never did it ever again. I was like, because I just didn't want to make the graphic or like, this is one more piece of shit editing I had to do.
I give this 8 plaid shirts. I would say, you've made it this far on the podcast, you've probably already seen it. So yeah, I would say this is, if you're a horror fan, this is you have to see it to say that you're a horror fan type thing.
It'd be real weird if you didn't like this movie and you listened all the way through.
Yeah,
we're not that likable. I wouldn't sit through this.
I am.
Fair.
If you're gonna recommend some, if you like the Dawn of the Dead, what are some other titles you'd recommend, Gavin?
Recommend the 2004 Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead. I think that's a good one. I think Dawn of the Dead is his best movie. I don't care how much he wants to be a real superhero fancy director. Dawn of the Dead is perfect, and I think
written by James Gunn, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was his high point. I think it was his best directing style. It really oozes style and used a lot of great practical effects. Love that. We mentioned it 28 Days Later. I think that's a different feel to it. It's British. And it really gives that feeling of isolation more so than like this movie does. That movie gives like a real feeling of like, I am alone in London and I can only find like 4 people. And if they turn, we're all screwed. Yep. And then I would recommend, because I just watched it 2 nights ago, The Sadness, Taiwanese film from 2021, much different kind of zombie movie. It is very hard to watch, but if you can get through it, I think it's one of the movies where I was disgusted while watching it, and then afterwards, like, and then it had some good stuff. It really did do some interesting things. And that is streaming right now on Shudder. So
I would check out the Romero trilogy. I liked Land of the Dead. I know people didn't, but I think if it's a Romero zombie movie, watch it. I have not seen Diary or Survival, so I can't tell you to watch those Romeros.
I think Diary is the one that's like found footage.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. I would say Shaun of the Dead if you like horror comedy, because there's so many references to the Romero movies. I would say play the video game Left 4 Dead, the number 4. I love at least Left 4 Dead 2's, because you're in. I think there's a scene in the mall, like a level.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 holds up. Also, if you like zombie, Dead Rising is a zombie game that is set exactly in a mall. The second one's a little bit better, but because that first one has like weird time constraint gaming gimmick. But the Dead Rising games are really, really fun if you want to just feel like you can grab anything and use as a weapon.
Yeah, and definitely Night of the Living Dead. I know I said check out the earlier Romero ones, but that's maybe a comfort film for me, Gavin, is to put on this black and white movie where it's mostly a play and not like
have
fighting.
you ever seen the colorized version?
I have not.
It is the movie, but get this, in color.
Oh shit.
Shit. You can really see Barbara get smacked when she's being ignorant.
You're ignorant. And I'm sure there are tons of other zombie movies. A great hidden gem is Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
I have not seen that one.
That's one I would just tell people. It's funny. It's a horror comedy, but I'm sure there are other ones, but I can't think of them. But those are the ones off the top of my head that I would say check that out if you like Dawn of the Dead.
Well, cool. I will watch these movies that I've already seen.
All right, Gavin. I was going to say thanks for being on the show, but it's also partly your show.
Yeah.
So
this is a partnership. Stop trying to big time me.
But thanks to you for listening. Tell a friend about the show. And never forget, they're coming to get you.
Barbara.
They're coming to get you. They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming to get you.